And welcome back to another episode of Dogs on the Couch, where everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It does not matter if you played the game you were watching. So you're allowed to have an opinion as well. I kind of just want to clap it up for myself here for a second. Because it's truly time for a victory lap. Now, I don't want to say I told you so. I'm lying. I do. I want to say I told you so because I did. I told you so. I said all of these things when they were extremely unpopular to say. I said all of these things. I stood on these mountaintops alone by myself. And I have other individuals who are like, yeah, well, no, you weren't the only person calling for Stefanski. But every time I would say something about it, I would always get pushback. As the, what two-time coach of the year? Oh, well, no, come on, man. It's really Deshaun Watson. Like, that's the stuff I used to get, man. And then to now, later, here, now they still are kind of questioning these people a little bit. And I can't understand why. I don't think you should be questioning them. Okay, at this point, I don't think you should. But there are even other people now making rumblings of, well, I don't know, maybe was Deshaun Watson cooked? Is he washed? Because all these other quarterbacks that's been in Stefanski playbook, they look terrible. So maybe Deshaun might have to. When you start hearing people go to that, and above all, the number one Stefanski supporter that I used to use a lot, it saddens me because now it's like I'm not even finna be able to, I gotta find somebody new to provide the majority of these dumb talking points, to break them down and say why they don't make sense. Now I got to find somebody else to use because the number one person who's on that bandwagon, well, even he done hopped off. It's so crazy because I'm on record on this channel here a year ago saying all of this stuff that you are getting ready to hear Mr. Stefanski apologist himself, contradiction carrier, Quincy carrier. He finna be saying the exact same stuff that I've been saying all this time, and I will be getting pushback about. Like, I was even getting pushback from him, so he does like these live streams with the games, whatever. And in the Miami Dolphins week, he was still kind of trying to hang on to the Kevin stuff a little bit, just trying to hang on, because the Browns actually ended up winning the Dolphins game. I thought they was going to lose. But the elements did what the elements do to the Miami Dolphins. So the defense and the elements won that game for the Cleveland Browns against the Miami Dolphins. It was the defense and the elements that ended up winning that game. It was the defense and the elements, okay? Because in the course of this game in specific, Mr. Quincy was trying to blame the defense, like in the early part of the game. He was trying to blame the defense. Oh, the defense needs to be, the defense needs to be better. What is it? The defense, Basically this was when we were, saying like, as good as the defense is, because our offense is so bad, well, now our defense needs to step up and score some points as well. And I'm like, it ain't the defense job to score points. I mean, it's nice if they do, but their job is to stop people from scoring points. Their job ain't to score points. And if I was playing defense, and I think I said this in the last episode, if I'm playing defense, I'm like, bro, you try now I gotta score too? Okay, well give me their paychecks then. Since they ain't gotta do nothing, let me get their paycheck. Let me get the offensive coordinator paycheck. He ain't gotta score no points. So let me get his paycheck. What he getting paid to do? You know what I'm saying? If I'm on defense, I'm like, what you mean? We gotta stop people and score? Well, then just banish the offense and give us all they cuts, the checks. Give us the money, because we got to do everything. So it just didn't make sense. And then, in the live little cast he be doing or whatever, as the game was going and the defense was just absolutely dominating. Here are some of the stats. First of all, we won the game 31-6. Had absolutely nothing to do with the offense. Our defense held the Dolphins to 12 for 23 passing for 100 yards, 3 interceptions, one interception return for a touchdown. The other one set you up right there to score a touchdown. So that's 14 points for the defense. And special teams scored a touchdown, I believe. And defense also recorded 4 sacks. So I was just simply, over the course of as this stuff is going on, when he started out the game criticizing the defense, in his little stream, I pointed out to him, I'm putting in the comments, I'm like, okay, so here you was blaming the defense, and like, look at what they're doing. How can you blame the defense? Stop trying to blame something else besides Kevin Stefanski and this trash playbook that he got, this trash quarterback that he handpicked. Stop trying to blame other stuff besides that. We've done that for 6 years now. Aren't you tired of it yet? And because the name that I have in there is John Doe, the name that I was commenting the stuff on. And you can hear him address me. Oh, John, well, I think this performance by the defense justifies me criticizing them because we know what they're capable of, right? Trying to do like this reverse psychology thing where you flip it around and be like, well, see, this is why I should have been criticizing them, because basically I guess his critique is, we'll see, they can't have a game where they have 5 sacks and 4 interceptions and score 2 touchdowns and all this other stuff. But the point is this. They shouldn't be expected to do that every week. That shouldn't be what's expected from them every week. When you get a couple weeks here and there of, just otherworldly defensive play like that, yes, you applaud it. Yes, it's the greatest thing in the world. But to expect the defense to do that week in and week out, you are outside of your mind. Duh. You don't know ball if you expecting a defense to be able to do that every week. You don't know ball. You don't. What's so crazy, we'll get into it in a second, but even following this defensive performance, it continued even in the next week. But we'll get to that in a second. Here, let's listen to, mind you, when he's doing this critiquing of the defense, and I'm pointing this out at this particular point of the game, when this is going on, what he's getting ready to say in response, we're actually winning the game 24-6. It's in the third quarter with about 8 minutes left to go, and we're winning the game 24-6. So the defense has only allowed 6 points up until this point, and also they didn't allow any more points for the rest of the game. So a defense giving up 6 points in a game you shouldn't be saying anything about the defense at all. Nothing, absolutely nothing. You shouldn't be saying anything about the defense. This micro critiquing that you're doing of the defense, why would you be micro critiquing the defense when it's all this stuff you could pick from the offense to talk about that would make the team better immediately, as opposed to over critiquing the defense. So let's hear this stupid stuff that he got to say in response to me pointing him out for saying anything about the defense. Don't say anything about the defense. This is the stupid response he had to say.
Defense, John. I was critical of the defense. I wasn't saying people needed to be fired. Again, man, I guess.
Really quickly, the reason you weren't saying people needed to be fired on defense is because you would really sound stupid then. So I mean, it's not like you. That's not to you. Oh, I wasn't saying you can't say that. If you could, then you would. But the problem is you can't say that. So that's not a flex.
Hey, the defense needs to be better here, this and that. I wasn't saying Jim Schwartz needs to be fired. He's terrible. Myles Garrett needs to be traded. Like, are people not capable of understanding that you could give very tepid criticism to people that you just think should be in the positions that they are in, but you just want them to be better? Is that like a concept that doesn't read anymore to people? Like, or are we just like being purposely stupid at times?
And see, when they don't have a great comeback, they name call. That's what they do. Oh, stupid. No, what's stupid is this quote unquote tempered criticism that you having for a defense that's been stellar all year long. And in this game in specific that you criticizing them, they only allowed 6 points. You giving tempered criticism to a defense that allowed 100 yards passing, 12 of 23. They had 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, and 4 sacks, and ended up having the game won 31-6. Why are we giving tempered criticism to that defense? For what? Why? Only in Cleveland would we do that. Anywhere else, like for example, if the Carolina Panthers defense was putting up those kinds of numbers, they would be praising the defense something crazy. If the New York Jets defense was putting up those kinds of numbers, they would be in the Jets Hall of Fame immediately. Nobody better talk about our defense. That's what they would say. But in Cleveland, where you glorify mediocrity and you're constantly looking for a scapegoat, you're looking for an out, because you've been doing that, but especially once you got Stefanski as your head coach. He conditioned y'all to look for a scapegoat because that's what he's good at. So, like, y'all been conditioned to do that. Let's look for the scapegoat. Oh, the scapegoat, the defense. Well, you know what? Our offense is so bad that the defense should be better. It's like, no, your offense is so bad that you need to hold them accountable. That's what it is. Like Myles Garrett did, like how Myles Garrett came out and said, yeah, I'd like to see us give Quinshon Judkins the ball a little bit more. And then when you do it in the Dolphins game, look at what happened. Because a mix of just giving Quinshon Judkins the ball and the elements, it being rainy and cold and all that other stuff that the Dolphins have never been good, like playing in the Mike McDaniels era. Like they're more like a fun in the sun kind of team. Anytime they playing in games where it's the elements, they usually don't do well. So those are the 2 things that helped you beat the Miami Dolphins. That was it. But why should we be giving this over critiquing of the defense? Oh, well, but just because, we can say ways that we want them to be better. You want them to be better than holding a team to 100 passing yards, 6 total points in the game, 3 interceptions, and 4 sacks? You want them to be better than that? And this is my thing. If you do want them to be better than that, then by God, what are you saying about the offense? Like what because if this is if you criticizing the defense and they doing this kind of stuff, I'm just looking for I say this all the time. I be wanting the same energy. So if you got tempered criticism of the defense and they putting up historic numbers, then why aren't you giving just the most criticism in the world? Why aren't you calling for people's jobs who are on the offensive side of the ball and they look historically bad? Like from the eye test, they look even worse than them 0-16 Hugh Jackson teams, bro. Because them teams really didn't have any talent. They didn't have any talent. One of those teams, the leading pass catcher on that team was Duke Johnson. It's because you didn't have any wide receivers. Your starting wide receivers was who knows? Muhammad Massaquoi? Greg Little and Muhammad Massaquoi. Them was your starting receivers. What are we doing? Like, what are we? Come on, man. We over critiquing the defense for what? And then making it seem like you justified in doing so because, oh, well, look at what they're capable of doing. Yeah, that's exactly why we shouldn't be critiquing them. Mr. Reverse Psychology? What are you talking about? You shouldn't be using this stellar performance to say, well, this is why we should be critiquing and we should be giving tepid criticism. No. This elite performance is why you shouldn't be saying anything about them at all. It is why you should be pounding the table for your offense to help your defense out instead of trying to push these talking points that are put out by, the Jason Lloyds and the Mary Kay Cabots and the Didi Kikawallas, all these Stefanski apologist people that I guess is on buddy payroll or something. I don't know, because they just refuse to ever say anything about the guy. The only thing Mary Kay done said recently here was about, Stefanski and the whole, why wouldn't you put Shador in? I'm going to play that clip. But, yeah, I don't think that giving tempered criticism of the defense is the answer to anything. And then lo and behold, what's so ironic is, he's going to actually end up, he's going to actually end up saying that himself. That's the ridiculous part, is that he's actually going to end up saying that himself. And what's so crazy is I almost ended up becoming a fan of his because I didn't think he had it in him to admit being wrong. After you done stood on the square for so long, it's hard to flip-flop up. But when even the Stefanski apologist himself changes over, you might want to start questioning some things, because you just heard him in the Dolphins game wanting to overcritique the defense and then giving reasons why. And then just one short week later, when we played the New England Patriots, because mind you, everybody was celebrating that win against the Miami Dolphins. I didn't really care about it. It didn't really matter to me. Even though I predicted wrong, I predicted for the Browns to actually lose that game, and they actually won. Even though my prediction was wrong, I didn't give too much stock into that win over the Dolphins. Man, it was cold, it was raining. The Dolphins don't ever really do good in those kinds of games. So I was like, okay, all right, you beat the Dolphins. All right, way to go. Go Browns. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get too hot. And then one short week later, when you when you get your butts kicked by the Patriots, oh, now London Bridge is falling down. It hasn't, the bell hasn't rung up until this point, and you've looked garbage all year long. But all of a sudden, when you lose to the Patriots, and I know it's bad because, Mike Vrabel is their coach, and you had him in your building last year. You could have easily just fired Stefanski and said, hey, Vrabel, what you think about taking this Browns job, man? We got some draft picks coming up. We got the number 2 pick in the draft. You might be able to get you a quarterback if you want one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what's up, bro? How you feeling about this Browns job? You want it? But instead, oh no, we got to do Stefanski, the offensive guru, the offensive. I don't want to hear that trash. So let's listen to Quiz Carrier, Contradiction Carrier. Finally, come on over to the dark side. He came on over to the dark side. Let's take a listen to some of it. Oh, if I could get it queued up.
Someone said you can't push the ball when you can't force safeties to come up and corners to respect the speed that you have. Again, man, the same issues existed for this offense when the Browns were starting Joe Flacco, who is a quarterback who can push the ball downfield and make safeties work. If Joe Flacco could do anything in his career, he could do that. So it's not just that, man. It's not. Now you're
again, where people have been, because And what's so weird is at points in it, you'll kind of hear him get frustrated by some of the stuff that the people are saying. But it's like you can't be frustrated by the people saying this stuff because these are the same people that you've been pushing these narratives to. So this is why they're spewing this rhetoric back at you about how the wide receivers is garbage and they trash. And Quincy, now you sound like me saying that, well, you calling Jerry Jeudy trash, but just last year, Jerry Jeudy was a Pro Bowler. I think 90 receptions, over 1,200 yards, and he was a Pro Bowler just last year. Oh, that's right. Ken Dorsey was calling the plays, not Kevin Stefanski. Same thing with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco start out the year here, just looks terrible. He looks just like Dylan Gabriel looking right now. He looked just like how Deshaun Watson was looking last year before he got hurt. He looked like all these other quarterbacks that's been in that Stefanski playbook. But as soon as Joe Flacco get over there with Cincinnati, all of a sudden he figure out how to throw the ball down the field. And people just wanted to, well, he get more taste of T. Higgins. Well, so did Jake Browning. And that didn't work for Jake Browning. So the point is, clearly Joe Flacco still got some good quarterbacking left in his tank. But when he was in that Stefanski playbook, you couldn't see that good quarterbacking that he had left. He had to go get in somebody else's playbook. And the Zach Taylor playbook, people don't think that playbook's all that great either. But look at the difference when Flacco leaves the Stefanski playbook and get into the Zach Taylor playbook, which people don't think that highly of the Zach Taylor playbook. But the difference is night and day in Joe Flacco in the Stefanski playbook, in the Zach Taylor playbook. So if the Zach Taylor playbook ain't looked at as all that good anyway, why does Joe Flacco look so much better in that playbook alone? That's absolutely ridiculous. Let's listen to a little bit more of it here. Let's let him spew a little bit more, hear a little bit more, really quickly.
Now it's time to eat. Defensively, they're going to start crashing in on everything, jumping on everything, and trying to hot everything because they know what's coming. This is why it gets worse at the end of the game than it is at the beginning, because now they're used to it. They can time it up. Again, look how tight this bunch is at the top. We're going to motion
out. A predictable offense is basically what that's what he's telling you. The offense is predictable. The defense knows what we're going to do. They know, oh, well, look, they offense, they only run stick routes and curl routes. So if we just kind of pack the box and jump these routes, we should actually be pretty good to go for the most part. Let's pack the box, and then we're going to jump these routes. It's not like they're about to throw the ball down the field. Throw the ball down the field. They don't do that. Let's dare them to throw the ball down the field. We're not worried about it. We're not worried about that. We don't believe you. You need more people. Actually, no. We don't believe you. You need a different head coach / offensive coordinator because we don't believe it. Let's listen to a little bit more. I mean, this is the same guy who all these talking points that the people are spewing at him. He used to spew them. Let's listen to a little bit more.
rest of the year, I don't know, man. I don't give a fuck.
Hold on, wait. Trigger warning.
Like, somebody's got to explain why this is all we can do offensively. And I'm not talking about production yards. I'm talking about the approach.
There, and they're going to call Carlton Davis for the penalty to give a first down.
Somebody's got to explain that. Because right now, it just looks like incompetence.
Did you hear that? Incompetence. Sounds like me. Sounds like me talking about the boneheaded stuff that Stefanski's been doing for the past 6 years. That's what it sounds like. For you to use the word incompetent? Like, dating back to the game 1 of the 2024 season, Deshaun Watson coming fresh off injury, shoulder surgery. And the very first play that we run, the very first offensive play that we run for the season is a reverse with Deshaun Watson as the lead blocker. So your $230 million quarterback who's fresh off of shoulder surgery, the first play that came to your mind to start the season was a reverse with Deshaun Watson as your lead blocker. That is stupid. That is incompetent. That is a play that I would never run with my $230 million quarterback who's fresh off shoulder surgery. Why am I running that play? All of the times that he's pulled out Nick Chubb to sit him on the sideline in 3rd and 4th and short situations, to run jet sweeps with Cedric Tillman or pitches to Pierre Strong. And it's like, why are you doing that when you have Nick Chubb? And then when you don't have Nick Chubb and you get Quinshon Judkins and everybody sees how amazing he is, you do the same thing with him. In fact, you had to have Myles Garrett tell you, hey, man, get a ball to Quinshon. And you listen to it for one game against the Dolphins. Then the next game, in the Patriots game, you didn't do it anymore. And then, lo and behold, Quinshon get banged up a little bit. So now that piece is moved off the board. So now, just like you used to do with Nick Chubb, when you rely on him and he'd break you off this big run, and you'd be back in the game. Now, when that piece was took off the board and you forced to figure something with your passing game, it looks abysmal. It's the worst thing ever that you've ever seen from an offense. Some people will say they've seen worse offenses. I don't think so. And the reason that I say that is because all of the players that have been put in the offense, they look terrible. I can't name another offense where all the players that you put in it, they just look terrible. Like good players and bad players. You put them in this offense, they look terrible. Like there's no way around it. Let's do a little bit more.
Sly, I've been saying this for 3 weeks.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
I'll spread it out here.
Receiver from the backfield. Gabriel looks that way.
We're not even thinking about going downfield right now. Yeah, after the season, I think it's over with Kevin, man. Like, I don't know. I think the ownership gave him the vote of confidence this week after the game. So he's going to make it to the end of the season at least. But, man, I don't feel confident going forward with Kevin. I don't feel confident at all that that's the right move. Call timeout.
You hear that defeat in this voice. I don't think that's the call timeout. I don't get it. Now all of a sudden I ain't going, let me not go too hard on the guy. Stop that. Pause. Yes, I am. Bro, you done spent I don't know how long, man, talking about how great of a coach Kevin is, man. How the locker room, how he still has the locker room. I don't think he does. I think that locker room been checked out on Buddy. And y'all be like, well, they come out and they play hard for Kevin. No, they don't. They play hard for each other. They don't play hard for Kevin. Because the hardest playing part of the team is the defense. And in my opinion, the defense plays for each other and they play for Jim Schwartz. They don't have anything to do with the offense. When they, like a couple times when they was asking Myles Garrett about stuff on offense, he was like, I have nothing to do with that. That's the offense. I'm on defense. I don't have anything to do with that. I don't know why they're doing this or why they're doing that. I felt like they should have gave Quinshon Judkins the ball a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm on defense. I don't play offense. I play defense. So that's clear. That tells you the defense don't have anything to do with Kevin Stefanski. The defense they are not in lockstep with Kevin Stefanski. They in lockstep with Jim Schwartz. They don't have nothing to do with Kevin Stefanski. You could please believe nobody on that defensive side of the ball is looking at Kevin Stefanski with endearment. Like, oh yeah, this guy's great. I can guarantee you they're not looking at him like that. So that whole, they still play hard for Stefanski, that's a narrative. That's a talking point. If you've ever played football for you would know there are times where you can have a coach that you don't like, but you play hard for your brother. You play hard for the man that's next to you. That's what you do. Or like I said, if you're on defense, but you don't have a relationship all like that with the offensive coach or the offensive coordinator. Like you got your relationship with the defensive coordinator, the defensive coach. That's who you got your direct relationships with. Do you talk to the head coach or maybe some of the OCs and passing or different stuff like that? Yeah, maybe. But your allegiance lies to the DC, the defensive coordinator. That's gonna be your guy for the most part. That's who you is suiting up going to play for week in and week out. That's, and your brother next to you on defense. That's who you know what I mean? And then, the offense is just your counterpart. You know what I mean? You just want them to do their job when they get out on the field. You don't tell the offense, for the most part, how to do their job as long as they doing their job. You just be like, all right, offense, go cook. And then after y'all get done cooking, we about to get out there and we're going to get you the ball back so you could cook again. That's kind of the way the relationship goes. See if we can listen to a little bit more.
NFC North showdown against Jared Goff and the Lions. And some will see the Jags after a bye week take out.
Said they were predictable. LOL, Kevin's figured it out. 5 years of film. Well, Kevin didn't used to be predictable, right? Like, Kevin used to be...
That's actually not true. That's actually not true. And then what's so crazy is that's how you've talked yourself, into Kevin, quote unquote, being a good coach for these 6 years. What Kevin's always been good at is the first drive. That's what he's always been good at. That first drive, that scripted drive, he almost guaranteed to get you the touchdown on that drive. Touchdown or field goal opportunity on that drive. The problem is you won't score again after that. Chances are, after that drive, you're not going to sniff the end zone again. That's the problem. You know what I mean? And like I was telling people, like it's like when he was doing that, he had a plethora of players. But the problem is you weren't using the players the correct way. So see, this JV offense that you running, it looked a lot better when you had star players. So for example, when you got an Odell Beckham that's on your outside, he draws a lot of attention. Even when he's not getting the ball, he's going to draw attention because he's Odell Beckham. So, when you running him as a decoy, because you ran a lot of him as a decoy, where he was just a decoy. He out there running wide open, but he not getting the ball. He's a decoy. Okay, but when you running him as a decoy, the defense is finna pay attention to him because that's Odell Beckham, and we can't let him get free. So that'll make some of this garbage that you've been running on offense, that'll make some of that garbage work. Especially when you got a great running back, two great running backs, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. You know what I'm saying? So the defense has to pay it. Even when you're running them as decoys, the defense has to pay attention to this guy. They have to. But eventually when you start running the stars out of town, because the stars is like, all right, well, look, I'm tired of running decoy routes. Can I get the ball? Especially in these games that we losing. I feel like if you get me the ball, like we could probably win some of these games if you just let me get the ball. And Stefanski be like, and this is my opinion, but I think it's clear as day now that this will be going on. Stefanski like, well, look here, don't be telling me about how you should get the ball. Hey, just run my system. If the system say you're supposed to be a decoy, you a decoy. I know what I'm doing. I graduated from Ivy League school. I'm the smartest person in the room, so you better listen to me. And if you don't, I'll get you out of here. I can get the analytics say that Donovan Peoples-Jones is just as good as you are. So get up, I'll get you up out of here, and then we'll just go with Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then that's what we did. They convinced us Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Hollywood practice squad Higgins was better than having Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. And then eventually, when you start running these talented guys, these uber talented guys out of town, and then you kind of get like Jags or, guys just kind of, all right, now your playbook don't look the same because Cedric Tillman on the outside is not drawing the same amount of attention that Odell Beckham was. Heck, even Jerry Jeudy. And I'm not like, I don't kill Jerry Jeudy like other people do. I actually think Jerry Jeudy is a decent wide receiver. I think he's decent. Other people think he's garbage. I think he's decent. I think he's pretty good. I don't think he's the top of the top, but I think he's all right. But Jerry Jeudy ain't garnering the same amount of attention as prime Odell Beckham. Like, it's not the same thing. So the defense is like, well, look, hey, the decoys that you used to run, we used to have to pay attention to them. because they was top-notch guys. So we used to have to pay attention when Odell running out here and it looks like he wide open. We got to stay engaged. We got to stay locked in. But Cedric Tillman, I don't really care. Number one, I don't think you would throw the ball to him. And then if you do, I don't know if he'll catch it. So I'm not worried about Cedric Tillman out here running around. I dare you to throw the ball to him. In some ways, it's kind of the same thing with Jerry Jeudy. And what we don't do on offense is we don't make a concerted effort to force the ball. I would say even force it to Jerry Jeudy. Throw the ball to him 20 times a game. Help him try to get out of these struggles. And in fact, I think we're going to hear Quincy say a little something about the offense not doing anything to help Jerry Jeudy get out of them struggles. But let's just listen to a little bit more of it anyway, because he goes on about several things with the offense and Kevin Stefanski.
That used to be the case, especially 2021 up until like 2022 and parts of 2023. I thought he was really good at that kind of stuff. 2024, 2025, it has been very predictable. And like, if you want to keep him, you got to figure out why that's the case these last 2 years. Like, maybe it's a personnel thing, but man, we can't solve this to a point to where we could be competent. Like, I refuse to believe that's got to be, that can't be the answer there, right? But can you please spread out the truth to...
Yeah, and what he's saying is like, well, you know, the personnel, like you can't, because this is the thing. People make it seem like the personnel is just oh so bad that there's no way you could do anything with this personnel. By God, the offensive line is the worst offensive line ever in history. The receiving core is the worst ever in history. And the quarterbacks are the worst ever in history. Well, for the people who be spewing that rhetoric and spewing that narrative, this is what they don't understand. You can't go out and get an entire new offense. Like, you can't do that. So going into this offseason, you can't say, well, we have to replace all of our offensive linemen, all of our wide receivers, and the quarterback. What? You don't know ball. You can't do that. That's impossible to be able to do. You know what's a little bit more feasible that could possibly change your team around a little bit? Swapping out that bum for a head coach that you got for a head coach and offensive coordinator. Take him out, put a new voice in there, a new mindset, a new mentality, because that's what's going to come with that, a new voice, new mindset, new mentality, and then get that short baby hand quarterback up out of there that Stefanski handpicked, because Dylan Gabriel ain't it. And I ain't even want to look here. I'm not going to go hard on Dylan Gabriel. I'm not going to be trashing the kid, because I'm going to give Dylan Gabriel the same respect that I've given all of the other quarterbacks that have been in that Stefanski playbook. It's hard for me to judge how good or not good Dylan Gabriel is in the Stefanski playbook, because he looked just like all the other quarterbacks look trash in the Stefanski playbook. He looked just like how Joe Flacco looked before him. He looked just like how Deshaun Watson looked before that. He looked just like how P.J. Walker looked before that. He looked just like how Jacoby Brissett looked before that. Just mid to garbage. That's what they look like. The best they ever look like is mid, and then the worst they ever look like is the worst that you've ever seen in your life. So I don't really know if Dylan Gabriel is good. It's hard to tell. It's hard to really tell who's good and who's not good in the Stefanski playbook, because we calling Jerry Jeudy trash this year. Okay, but last year in Ken Dorsey playbook, Jerry Jeudy was a Pro Bowler. He wasn't trash. So again, the one common thing with all these players that be looking like they trash, they only look trash in the Stefanski playbook. It's like, how is the common denominator not figured out at this point? All these players that be looking trash, you don't see that the common denominator is that they looking trash in this playbook, because all the people that leave here and go get in other playbooks and other systems, they look great. Kareem Hunt still looking good over there with the Kansas City Chiefs. He just had 2 touchdowns in their last game that they just played. But he just had 2 touchdowns in that game, man. But we deemed him to be washed freaking 2-3 years ago. The Stefanski system said that Kareem Hunt was washed. Oh, we can't use him. But we got Pierre Strong though. We got him. Because the analytics tell us that Jerome Ford is just as good as Kareem Hunt. Man, if you don't get out of here, let's listen to a little bit more of this garbage right quick.
Half of the things that they're saying about me too aren't even true. They're just like,
and then he gets mad. Hold on, right quick, because he knew he get triggered right there. I was hold up. Half of the stuff that these people are saying, they're just making it up in their minds. No, they're not, buddy. They're not making it up in their minds. Hold on, trigger warning. Let's listen to it.
People make up a version of me that they need to exist to argue against in their mind, and then they think that that's what I'm saying in real life, but in the reality just doesn't match up. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And no, because I've been very critical of you. And again, I always say sometimes you do actually have good, good points or whatever. But no, I don't have to make anything up. I just be simply replaying the same stuff that you be done said. And then pointing out how it doesn't make sense. The same way that now, for whatever reason, in this Patriots game, you out on Kevin Stefanski. And I mean you big out on him. Like you are convinced now that Kevin can't be the guy going forward. Because what is going on offense? Like, this is you saying that. Mind you, when people like me and other people have, kind of uttered these things before, it's two-time coach of the year, it's just the personnel. Everybody sucks. Deshaun Watson sucks. The wide receivers suck. The offensive line sucks. The special team sucks. Everybody sucks. And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, man. Like, that can't be the case. Especially not when just last year, with Jameis Winston as a quarterback and another person calling the plays, we didn't look this bad on offense. Like, not this bad. Because they used to rave about Jameis Winston's 400 and 500-yard passing games. Even though we would lose, they would still rave about, at least we're moving the ball. It was exciting. And I used to be like, well, bro, to me, it's never exciting when you lose. I don't care how many yards you amassed. You lost. So that's not exciting. That's not fun. But for mediocre people, that is fun. Point is, you're not even doing that now. And that's because it ain't Ken Dorsey calling the plays no more. It's Kevin Stefanski, man. Like, that's who calling the plays now, dog. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Made up a reality where they think I'm like super anti-Shador.
No, and it wasn't
I
even.
can't wait to witness the shit show.
It wasn't even super anti-Shador or nothing like that. No, it was, you were super anti-Deshaun Watson, and just really high and big on, well, if you just swap out the quarterback, if you just swap out at the quarterback position, this will fix a lot of these problems that you're having as to why the team looks like this. And since Deshaun Watson, you done tried it, I think 7 to 9 different quarterbacks out there. You even recycled Joe Flacco to try to recreate that magic. And you made Flacco look the worst that he's ever looked in his life, Kevin Stefanski, only for him to turn around. And when he got traded 10 days later with the Cincinnati Bengals, Buddy out there throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. The same guy that you had looking the worst that he's ever looked in his life. You had us thinking Flacco was washed, that he couldn't play no more. He go over to the Taylor playbook, and in 10 days, literally 10 days, that's not being facetious. That is legit. It was in 10 days. Flacco was somehow able to pick up the playbook and start throwing the ball down the field. Make that make sense. The common denominator is clear here, man. Like, it's Kevin Stefanski. Not only that, in closing, let me get to, because I could go on. Buddy goes on and on and on in that live stream talking about how, pretty much that's just, it's not the answer. Like, Stefanski, pretty much, he's not the answer. He even has a whole video where he goes over it and says that, hey, Stefanski, Buddy ain't the answer. Like, he not it. But what I want to do really quickly, because I've made mention of this before, even just made a mention of it a second ago, right here, where, when you have a winning mentality, the game is fun when you win. not like, but we went out there and we had these great drives. You amassed a lot of yards. You had a bunch of sacks. We lost, but look at all this stuff we did. For me, if I had a winning mentality, I'd be like, man, look, I don't care that I had 200 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. We lost. So I don't feel good about this, man. Like, if you want me to feel good about this, I wanted to win. If I had 200 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns and we won, yeah, you can't tell me nothing. I'm about to get on Twitter and I'm about to talk my talk. But if I had all these yards and these touchdowns and we lost, well, I don't care. It doesn't matter. We lost. So I don't feel good about this. I'm not excited. I'm not having fun. We lost. That's not fun to me. Let's listen. Myles Garrett is mic'd up in one of these pre-games. He giving his little pre-game speech, in the huddle to the defense. Like I said, defense in lockstep with each other. They play for each other. They play for Jim Schwartz. They don't play for Kevin Stefanski, bro. But we about to hear what Myles Garrett is saying to his teammates in the huddle to hype everybody up before the game.
Coach keep on telling us to have some fun. Have some fun. Only way I know how to have some fun is winning. That's the only way out. Nobody having fun when we losing. Nobody having fun walking back to the locker room down. Clock 0, we down. Nobody likes that. So take that personal. That's the only way I know how to have fun. Take that personal. Whoop somebody ass. Finish. Win. Every quarter. Do that. Let's go. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Myles Garrett sound like he got a winning mentality. That's what it sounds like to me. The same thing that I've been preaching on this channel for I don't know how long, which is I'm not entertained by losing. I don't find entertainment in losing. Because, mind you, in this Patriots game, Myles Garrett had 5 sacks. And again, I think that's part of the reason why Quincy couldn't say nothing about the defense in that Patriots game. And he finally just conceded and was like, you know what, this offense is trash. And I think Kevin has to go. The person who would never say that. Because Myles Garrett had 5 sacks. He had a historic game. I think it was the most sacks ever everybody in the Cleveland Browns uniform in a single game and all this other stuff. And Myles Garrett came off the field, slammed his helmet on the ground, sat over at the end of the bench by himself. And then you got some retards on 92.3 The Fan talking about, oh, I think he was just being performative. You took the money. You knew what was coming. Let me explain something to you. I don't think that they sold to him, like when he went to sign the contract for the money, because remember, they had to pitch something to him that made sense in order to get him to sign. I don't think that this is what they sold him on. I don't think that they told him, well, hey, look, we just finna give you a lot of money because the team is going to be the worst team that you've ever seen in your life. So we just going to give you a lot of money to cover that up. I don't think that's what they said to him. I really don't. In fact, I think it might be a little something along the lines of, hey, well, we'll see how it goes. And then if it don't work, maybe we'll get rid of Stefanski and try to move forward with Shador or something like that. I'm just speculating. Part of the reason I'm speculating, because in the preseason, when Myles Garrett was mic'd up, there's a clip of Shador over there talking with him, and he like, hey, Shador, like, hey, you think my move would have worked on you? What about that? What if I did my move? You think that move would have worked? And Myles is like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but I want to try it on you. He like, no, don't try that on me. He like, I respect you, kid, but we need you healthy because we need you around. We're going to need you. Like, that's what he says to him. And I quote, we're going to need you. That's what he says to him. We're going to need you. That kind of sparked I'm like, oh, wait a minute. We going to need you, huh? He ain't going around just saying that to everybody. We going to need you. We're going to need you. Like, that might be something that was preached to him. And, we don't, you never know. I don't know. But to be saying that he's performative and he doesn't really mean that, he got his money, so how could it be you knew what you were expecting? No, I didn't expect to look. You could never tell me that I expected the team to look this bad on offense. That I'm out here having 5 sack games. And it's not even a competitive game. We end up not even being competitive in this game. No, I couldn't. You couldn't have told me that I thought that it would be this bad, not this bad. Like, this is worse. This is bad, like worse than last year bad. Because at least last year you had like a period of time where Stefanski had given up the playbook. Dorsey was calling plays. And with Winston out there, some of those games, a couple of them you won. You only won like 2, I think. But some of the other games where you actually felt like you were in the game for a little bit of the game. These games that we playing now, you don't feel like you're in the game at all. From the kickoff to the end of the game, you never feel like you're really in the game because the defense keeps you in the games. But the reason that you don't feel like you're ever really in the game is because you have zero faith that the offense is going to do anything. I mean, even get a first down. You're not even so sure that the offense is going to do that. You can't tell me that when Myles Garrett signed the contract that he thought that the offense was going to be that bad to where I don't even know if they're going to get a first down. To where people are saying the offense is so bad that now it's the defense's responsibility to score points. I don't think that's what was pitched to Myles Garrett. I don't think they were telling him like, yeah, man, this upcoming season, the offense is going to be so bad, we're going to be asking you and everybody else on defense to score points in order for us to win games. So you're going to have to do your job and you're going to have to do the offense's job too. I don't think that's what they was pitching to him. So to be saying that he's performative, and you got other dummies on 92.3 The Fan talking about, oh, Myles is lying by saying that he cares more about winning and losing than the fans of Ohio. Let me explain something to you, man. The fans of the Cleveland Browns, y'all don't put on no shoulder pads and no helmet and go out there and put your life on the line playing no game. You don't do it. You sit at home on your couch, drink, and critique. That's what you do. You could only dream about doing what Myles Garrett does week in and week out. So shut your trap. You guys are terrible. Stop that. You can only dream of doing what Myles Garrett does. Because I'm pretty sure all you lames just talk about, oh, you don't care more than the fans do. I guarantee that if it was y'all that was forced to put these pads on and go out there with your body hurting and aching and these ailments that you got, and you still got to go out there and play for this trash losing offense that don't do nothing, I'm pretty sure that you pack it up. When your shoulder is hurting, I'm pretty sure you'd be like, you look at your contract and be like, oh, well, I got about $12 million guaranteed. Hey, you know what? Yeah, my shoulder hurt. We 3-10. I don't feel like going out here and playing. But you know who does? Myles Garrett. And not only do he go out there and play, he go out there and play and give you 5 sacks. Doing his job at the elite of the elite levels. So how is you saying that you care more about winning and losing than he does? No, you don't. That man out there risking his life. We saw Damar Hamlin almost lose his life on a football field. So you are literally risking your life when you go out there playing. And that man is putting a helmet on, risking his life and catching CTE every darn game. He risking that to go out there and play for a team that ain't going to win but 3-4 football games. You mean to tell me, you trying to convince me you care more about winning than he do? That man putting his life on the line for a losing team. A lot of y'all wouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry, you wouldn't. When you're given the out, like, hey, look, you still about to get your money, your millions of dollars. Yeah, you still about to get your millions of dollars. I guarantee that y'all not finna go out there and play on this losing football team. You not about to do it. Your money's guaranteed. You about to get your paycheck. You gonna be good. You not about to suit up and go out there risking CTE. Because that's precisely what you're gonna say. You're like, I'm not about to go out there and risk CTE. You know what I'm saying? So we score 6 points on offense and get our butts kicked? Nah, I'm cool. I'm not going out there to do that. For what? Go put the backup in. Let him go in. My shoulder hurt. Because I'm the one who been said that. I'm like, I'm not tackling nobody. What's I'm going out there tackling somebody for? For what? Why? That's why I'm like Deshaun Watson. All the people, they better than me. Because I've been looking at that Stefanski playbook out there. I'll be like, yeah, I'm not going out there playing in this. And that's last but not least. For all the people who want Shedeur to go in, I don't want Shedeur to go in. I want Shedeur, and I want him to be the starter quarterback for our team going forward. But I don't want Shedeur getting in the game at no point this season while Kevin Stefanski is still the head coach and play caller, and he got that trash playbook going around. I don't want to see Shedeur out there in that, okay? I don't want my young man going out there looking crazy like that. Then he might mess around and never recover from that Stefanski garbage. So no, I do not want Stefanski. And then dating back though during the draft, when people was like, "Yeah, I want to get Shedeur," I'm like, "Look, I want to get Shedeur, but I don't want him up under Stefanski because Stefanski is gonna ruin that kid." That's what I told everybody. I said, "Stefanski gonna ruin that kid. I don't want him up coming here and being up under Stefanski." Well, then what quarterback do you want then? I'm like, well, you might as well bring Joe Flacco back, run him back. And then they did it, and look what happened. Joe Flacco looked trash in this playbook, then go somewhere else and looks like a star. I'm taking victory laps all over the place here. Because, yes, I want Shedeur, but I don't want him to go out there and that Stefanski playbook. No. Stefanski, you handpicked Dylan Gabriel. So as long as they want to keep you to be the head coach and play caller, keep trotting the supercomputer out there. Keep trotting out there the supercomputer. The supercomputer that in the Dolphins game was looking right at the running back running a wheel route wide open and wouldn't throw him the ball. He looking right at him, running a wheel route wide open to the end zone and wouldn't throw the ball. Or how about in this Patriots game where the supercomputer, you backed up in your own end zone, he take the snap, he looking for the pass down the field. Now, credit to Stefanski's trash playbook. It might not have been nobody open down there. It might have only been two routes to begin with. The two routes is probably right by each other, and they're probably a curl route or a stick route, so it's probably not nobody open. But Dylan Gabriel, Mr. Supercomputer, he threw the ball, you in the end zone. Now, you getting a little bit of pressure, but like nobody's grabbing you or nothing like that. You just getting pressure where you got to move off of the spot. It's basically what you got to do. You got to move off of the spot. You got to manipulate the pocket. If you're a super processor, you should know this. So you should be moving off of the pocket to manipulate the pocket, but instead he gets scared and then he just gets the ball out of his hands because I guess that's what's being processed to him or taught to him is to just hurry up and get rid of the ball. So he hurry up, he throw the ball, but the problem is nobody's over there where he throws the ball to. So when nobody's over there, you know what happens? That's intentional grounding. And when you have intentional grounding and you in your own end zone, well, that's a safety. Yeah, you can't intentionally ground the ball in your own end zone. That's a safety. How did the supercomputer not know that? How did the super processor, Kevin Stefanski, your handpicked guy, and the reason that you handpicked him is because his processing ability. You overlook the fact that he don't have no physical traits that you look for in a quarterback. Tall, big arm, mobile. None of that. He don't have none of that because he's short, his arm is mid, and he got baby hands. You solely picked him based on his processing ability because his processing ability is just so great. He's like this supercomputer the way he processes. But the supercomputer, the super Intel Pentium processing computer, he didn't compute. I can't throw the ball to nobody from my own end zone because that's going to be intentional grounding and a safety. He couldn't compute that. The super processor didn't process that he can. And what made it even worse, when he threw the ball, he pointed to the ground over where he threw the ball at. What are you pointing at? It's nobody there. You trying to tell the referee that it's nobody there. You threw the ball to nobody. Super processor, what are you doing? There's nobody there. Was it AI? Was it an AI generated receiver that was over there that you saw, Mr. Supercomputer? I don't get it. Like, I don't understand, man. But I'm sorry, hey, the victory lap is going to continue, especially as long as we keep trotting Stefanski and Gabriel out there. And then, to top it all off, after the Patriots game, after you get your butts kicked and everybody is ticked off because you done got your butts kicked, Stefanski come out and say, well, of course, we got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. We got to be better. It sounds like I can make a song out of it at this point. We got to be better. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. That's all he say. But you never actually get better. So he like, yeah, we got to do better. We got to be better. We got to get better. We got to do better. And then right after that, he say, we got to evaluate everything. Everything's on the table. But then turn around and then a few seconds later be like, well, but Dylan is the starter. Well, wait a minute. If you evaluating everything, why are you not evaluating the quarterback position as well? Because that need to be evaluated too. Like, I don't understand that. We need to be evaluating that quarterback position because it ain't looking so hot. And not only that, this was your hand-picked guy, bro. Like, this is your man's. This your man's. This is your guy. This is your man's. This who you picked. This who you told us was the supercomputer processing. This is why you picked him. And then in closing, let's hear Stefanski. Let's hear Mary Kay ask Stefanski about the Shador thing. And let's hear Stefanski double down on how stupid he is.
Why wouldn't you, just to see if it does anything to the offense, give him an opportunity to go in there and play?
Yeah, obviously my focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus.
That's him doubling down on how dumb he is. Mary Kay asking, well, look, is there any chance that you could just, put a bit just to see if it sparks anything, just to see? Well, that's not where my focus is. My focus is on where we are right now. Your focus can't be too much on where you are right now. It can't be. Because if it was, then that's all the more reason that you would be considering maybe just putting him in to see if it sparks something. That's what Brian Daboll did. He was like, you know what, let me put Jackson Dart in here and see if he can spark something. Not only did Jackson Dart spark something, but when Jackson Dart went to that blue tent for 10 seconds and Russell Wilson had to go out there and throw a pass, Brian Daboll ran over to the blue tent and he got to yelling at people like, hey, you gotta get Jackson Dart up out that tent. I need him out here on the field right now. What are we doing? Get him out the tent. Is he good or not? Buddy knew what was up. And it's another one mic'd up when Jackson started making a good play. You could see Daboll on the side. He like, yeah, that's our guy. Like you could tell that he like, yes, this kid might be able to save my job. So I'm gonna do the smart thing and go to him. He didn't ignited something in this offense, in this team. So you know what? I'm riding with this kid. That's a smart guy there, man. And I don't think he graduated from no Ivy League school, but he did a smart thing there. He like, oh, this kid could possibly save my job, because I know I'm on the hot seat. The way this is looking here, I think Tyler Shough is about to start this next game going for the New Orleans Saints. I think Tyler Shough about to get in there and start, because they tried it with Spencer Rattler. It don't seem to be working too good, so they're like, you know what, let's give Tyler Shough a shot at it and see what he do. Let's just put him out there and just kind of just see what happens. It's hard to look much worse than this. And for the Browns, it's extremely hard to look worse than anything that Dylan Gabriel and Kevin Stefanski been putting out there so far. Because if you keep telling us that Shador ain't ready, then and that Dylan Gabriel, I guess, is. Well, if Dylan Gabriel is what ready looks like, I don't want Shador to be ready. Just keep him on the sideline because he's not ready. Because if that's what ready looks like, I don't ever want Shador to look ready in Stefanski's eyes. Because in Stefanski's eyes, what ready look like, Dylan Gabriel going out there every week, that's what ready look like? Oh, yeah, I don't want that. And then you would trust this guy. If you are picking a quarterback in 2026, you trust a guy who picked a super processor that can't process the fact that you can't throw the ball to nobody from your own end zone. That's who Stefanski handpicked. That's who he said, that's a great quarterback right there. I want him. And you want to let that guy pick another quarterback in 2020? Man, dogs on the couch, man. Signing off. I'm out of here. I can't.